I'm going to drive my car at 100 mile an hour straight out the back of this lorry. And if I die, I die. If I get hurt, I'm hurt. And if I survive, I survive. I don't really care what's happened. The consultant said it'd be a miracle for me to have a kid naturally. Ever since I was 16, I'd struggled with mental health, and I think depression more than anything. So like that final thing there on that Saturday on my way down to rugby was just the catalyst to everything come out. Somebody who might have tried to take their life two days ago, and then they're currently stood on site with a stainless steel saw. Being told if they don't finish their job by 3 o'clock, they're not getting paid. Yeah. And it's like putting that pressure on it's just going to lead to one thing or another. Yeah. So there's got to be something from the government to change it. Put it this way, if I went to a college, right, into like an open day where kids are trying to work out what they want to do, I look at all of them and say 93% of people going into construction will suffer with mental health. Do you think anyone's going to put their hand up and go, well, I want to be a builder? Welcome to episode 1 of the Building Minds podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today we are joined by Josh and Jake Caulfield, who are the founders of Evolution Development. They both come on very, very similar journeys, but ultimately decided as brothers to come together last June to form Evolution Development Southwest. So Jake, Josh, how are you doing today?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Obviously nice to be here with you, but no, I'm all good.
Jake?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate, yeah.
Good. Obviously, you might notice Jake from the pilot. So me, Jake and Josh come together to form the Building Minds podcast. But I thought it's really, really good to get into the boys' story today, how they formed Evolution Development, their thoughts on the mental health crisis, and also talk a little bit about their journeys. I think Jake's been very open and admitted that he has had struggles with mental health. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, 100%.
And, you know, Josh is still a current professional rugby player. So I'm sure there's some anxiety and some challenges around that we're going to get into today. But first of all, boys, obviously episode 1 of the podcast, pilot is launched now, gone down really, really well. I thought it was a really good idea to actually talk to you both and understand why we've come together to do this.
Yeah, I think obviously we sat down once and we thought, what can we do to make a difference?
Yeah,
I think is first and foremost is, we're not just a normal construction company or a developments company. We're a company that's trying to make a difference.
Okay.
And if we can, better or aid or just encourage more people to discuss mental health within the construction industry, I think, that's our target completed, just to raise that awareness. For me, previous background, previous experiences of mental health, and then coming into this industry last year and realising the crisis that's involved in it, and also the people who are involved in it, it's needed so badly. So that's why me and Josh come up with the idea, straight away we thought we want Chris Kumis to be involved in this as well. A very good friend of ours. And if the three of us can make a difference with Building Minds podcast, then I think, that's a target achieved.
Yeah. And Josh, for you?
Yeah, I think obviously like Jake's mentioned there is when we first set up the construction company, it wasn't to go straight down this industry. I think it was the realisation of once we were actually in the industry of how it actually works and the challenges that are in it. So, and then obviously past experience like Jake's just mentioned there of himself, and it's obviously quite a close thing to the family, and we just felt like we could make a good change in this industry by approaching it.
Yeah, I think it's important to add. We're now mid-September at time of recording. I first sat down with Jake and Josh probably 6 months ago now, when we discussed a little bit of PR that was going around at the time with the boys' construction company, and we realised there was a massive problem, and it was like, what do we do? So we put our heads together, and we're now 6 months in, and we're finally going, which is amazing. But these things take time. And, we're so thankful to have the opportunity and have this platform to actually try and make a difference. Like
100%.
I spoke to you earlier, didn't I? I said, like, out of all of the businesses we've done, out of all the achievements we've had, this is different.
Yeah. I don't really see it as like a business. I
see
it more as an initiative to make a change.
Yeah, 100%.
you know, and if we could just, it's not even having a thank you for it. I don't want to thank you. I just want to raise the awareness of what we're doing, is to encourage people in the construction industry to speak up, but also people across the UK with mental health problems to speak up, realise that they're not alone and that help is there.
Yeah, I think obviously, like Jake's mentioned, when you guys come forward and mentioned around making this change, it has obviously had my full backing. But obviously, going into our construction team, our first approach was probably to see if we could change it within that. And now we've obviously seen that we have made changes in that, and then dug deeper into the industry. We feel like it's a much need within it. So I feel like that's why we're trying to, not like you said, it's not a business. It's to get us out there, get it pushed out into the industry, get people coming forward with if they're struggling, and then obviously we can make a change within that industry.
I'll give you an example, Chris, of a lad who currently works for us. He joined us, and he was just under 10 stone, really skinny. You know,
bit malnourished?
Yeah, I would say so. And, you know, he wouldn't mind me talking about it, I don't think. But, you know, he sent me a photo once. I think it was like by a complete accident.
Yeah.
Supposed to go to his girlfriend, and he didn't look well. You know, and then he's joined our company. He's bought into our culture, our ethos. You know, the environment's different. We're encouraging. We allow boys a sense of freedom of speech, let's say, to be able to discuss how they're feeling, what they want, how can we make it better, given a responsibility. And now, you know, he's in such a different place, like regularly goes to the gym, eats well. He's like 13 stone now. You know, it looks great compared to what he did. And like he said to me a couple of weeks back, just thank you. And I was like, what are you thanking me for? It's my job. Like, I'm not in this for me. I'm in this for all of us.
Yeah.
And it was just real powerful to see that difference. And there's been a couple of lads within our teams really who have said that to me. And you can really see the difference of when they've joined us in how they speak, behave, act, you know, eat, drink, everything. It's really rewarding. Yeah. So yeah, it's just that I just felt like it was a good example to add in there.
Definitely. No, it's credit to you guys. Obviously, like you said, it's not about taking thanks, it's about doing the right thing. And the fact that you're doing that naturally within your business, you know, you're just over a year in now. It's come on leaps and bounds, you know, it's a very, very, very successful construction company in such a short period of time. So credit to you guys both for doing that. So I think it's important to say, obviously I know you guys personally. We all went to school together. I'm a year older than Jake. We're very, very close. We used to train in the gym together, be at each other's houses every day. And of course, then we had little Josh coming up. Spent a lot of time with Josh when Jake was traveling with rugby. You know, remember taking you to the opticians?
Opticians, A&E
after rugby, demanding that he gets seen straight away because telling him he had to go for England duty. So we've had a lot of experience together. So I'm not going to make out I don't know the boys. But I think it's important to say as you get older, there's periods of time in your life where you probably get a bit distant. So the reason why I really thought it would be important to get the boys on to talk about their own journeys with mental health, and I probably had a period of time with Jake, which I didn't see him that very often and see him that much. And I got a phone call on a Wednesday to say, Chris, I'm getting married coming up. We'd love you to come, blah, blah, blah. So of course I'd be there. He was my best friend in school, 100%. I'd do anything to be there. So I'd go to the wedding, and for the first time, Jake does his wedding speech, and I hear in his wedding speech that he tried to take his life. And where I was distant from Jake prior to that, I had no idea what was going on in his life. So I suppose what I want to do in this episode is talk about the time building up to evolution development, what you've been through, what's happened, and where you are now. So should we turn the clock back to you're 16 years old, you've just left school, what's happened?
Yeah, so I think a lot has happened between when I was 16 and to now where I'm 32. I left school at 16, I moved straight to London.
What
literally for? To play rugby for London Irish up there.
Okay.
As soon as I finished school in that May or that June, I moved straight to London and got straight into a pre-season with London Irish.
Yeah.
So moving away from home was quite difficult. It was quite
16?
upsetting. Yeah, definitely. I've left my younger brother, I've left my mum, my dad, my nan, my granddad, everything who I was really close to. So move straight up there to the big city was quite tough. Very lonely, very isolated. It's not all bright shining stars and great opportunities. It's when you're having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, and then you do your rugby session, your gym session, your nutrition, all of that, and then you go home and you're just by yourself.
Yeah,
it's quite tough. So
sure.
for me, that happened. I've had my ups and downs in rugby. I've had lots of injuries. I've progressed to different clubs. I joined Bristol, Bath, Ulster, all at various different points. Struggled with injuries. I would say I never managed to go all the way to the top and be a regular player in the Premiership, but I had my opportunities. And it was a tough one, real tough one. It was a hard decision to leave it.
Yeah,
it really was. And then once I sort of retired from rugby, I sort of fell into the education system, done some coaching, some teaching, all of them sort of elements.
Sure.
And then I sort of progressed then, become a qualified teacher, was on quite a fast, rapid rise and to become a deputy head at a secondary school. I am a qualified head teacher now, which I'm proud to say I've got, and I got my teaching qualification.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't an industry that was for me. I didn't feel like that I was making as much of an impact there.
Okay.
And again, it's an environment that is challenging, and I'd love to know what the statistics are within the education system regarding suicide rates and mental health crisis, because I do think it would be quite high.
Right.
But yeah. So for me, it's a tough one.
Okay. So you said that you don't feel like you established yourself as a Premiership player and whatever. How did that make you feel? That obviously, because I'm assuming that was what you always wanted, right? Was to play rugby. How did you feel?
I had nothing else that I wanted to do. It was solely rugby. I messed around at college. I didn't go to college. I played rugby every day.
Yeah.
My coach would ring me out and say, you need to come training. All right, sweet.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to college. I'd go to training. I'd go and do extras. I'd do this. So I sort of threw that away. So I put all my eggs in one basket really with rugby. And then when you do have injuries, when you're in a lonely place, it's quite hard to try and get out of them situations.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think, I just made wrong choices at the wrong time in terms of maybe club selection and who I went to at age, when I was at certain ages and things like that. I love the clubs that I played for, great coaches, great players. However, do I think they were the right clubs for me at the time? Probably not. I feel like there's probably other opportunities there that I could have explored that would have been better for me. So yeah, when I had to give it all up, worst experience, well, one of the worst experiences, that has happened really, is like to see your brother on a rapid rise to the top and you coming away from it, I think was probably one of the most difficult things. And like, I know Josh knows this, but I hated going to watch him when he first joined Exeter Chief and he was playing for the first team down there. I'd hate to go and watch him. I couldn't, I would be dead silent, just watching him.
Yeah.
Nan going, oh, how do you think he's playing? Yeah, right. I just didn't like being there. I couldn't watch him because I was like,
You felt like you should be there.
I felt like I should be there, and it was so horrible because Josh would come off and be like, how do you think I play? And I'd say 90% of the game, probably wasn't even watching. I was just in a daze.
Yeah.
So I felt real bad. And then they also felt that Josh was then playing with players like who I had played with and stuff like that. And you felt like a bit of a failure. You felt like worthless at times. Do you know what I mean? So that there was really, really difficult. And I would say it'd be only until sort of I did try to take my life that I overcome that problem. And now I go and watch him all the time. Every game I can go to, I go and watch him. I'm probably his biggest fan. I go to every team that he goes to. Sadly, he didn't get me a Bristol Bears top when he was there, but I've got an Ealing top now, Chris, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I haven't got one of them.
He gave it me about 2 weeks ago, so I've got one of them now. Yeah. Nice hoodie it is, to be fair. So I've got that, and mate, like we've got this business together, and I think Josh has been in a bit of limbo about whether to give up rugby and come into the business full time, but he's following his dream.
Yeah.
And we both had a dream of playing professional rugby, and if he can still follow that and play that, then he needs to carry on doing that. Yeah, one of them.
No, okay. I'll get into you in a second, Josh, as well, because I love to hear your journey. But I think, obviously, Jake, I know you growing up. Like, I knew 16-year-old you, and I'm able to ask these questions because I feel like I already know the answers, but I think it's important for Jake to express it. At 16 years old, you felt like you made it.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I remember having a few conversations with you with some choice posts on Facebook saying, I've just signed a 40 grand a year deal at London Irish, because you're excited and you're proud of yourself, right? Knowing what you do now, do you wish you just kept your mouth shut and just did your thing?
Yeah, I do. But then there was like that expectation on you coming from a small town like this.
Yeah.
And being the sort of the only one at that age group that was going to that sort of thing. You had eyes, I had constant eyes on me looking.
Did you feel the pressure?
100%. It's like the boiler room was building up, and you had to, I couldn't ever say, oh, I'm actually struggling, or actually I don't really want to do this. I just do it because, one, it was pleasing others. Yeah, effectively. Okay. When I moved to London, was that the right decision for me? No, it wasn't.
I actually remember, so what's funny is I moved to London at exactly the same time as Jake, but I moved to North London. Jake lived in Sunbury, which is South London, safe to say, like Richmond area. I went and met Jake. My sister came down to see me in London. I said to my sister, do you want to go and see Jake? So I got the train, a couple of trains down, and come and met you. We went out with a few of the rugby boys, I think it was Marlon Yard at the time, and a couple of others. We went for food and went to the cinema, didn't we? And although you told me everything was good and whatever, I could tell something wasn't quite right. But at the time, who am I to judge? He's 16 years old, living a dream, signed for London Irish, he's happy. You get to a point then where you come away from professional rugby. You still play rugby, but professional rugby at this time. And, it's probably a choice that you had to make, but equally, injuries didn't help, Your hand was kind of dealt for you, which is sad. And then Josh bursts onto the scene. Now, I think it's safe to say that when we were younger, we knew he was going to be a star, right? We knew it. We knew Josh was the one that's going to do it. Not that you weren't, but Josh, it was just like, that's all he ever cares about. That's all he ever talks about, blah, blah, blah. He's really quiet, rugby.
Wore his rugby boots to bed.
Literally. And I remember one day, must have been 15, he goes to an athletics tournament and he breaks a junior record of shot put. And I said to him, "Would you think about that?" He goes, "It's not rugby. I just want to do rugby. I don't care about shot put."
I hated it.
He hated it. But what did you broke a record, didn't you?
Oh no, it's I can't remember what year it was at school, but basically I got asked to do athletics or go to an athletics tournament with the school. And they were like, "Oh, what are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to do the 100 meters or the 1500." And they were like, "Oh, well, can you do discus and shot put?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll give it a go." Anyway, went to the shot put competition, and it started off as North Somerset. I went there through obviously won it 'cause being bigger than a lot of Everett. And then I went to Somerset, won that one, and I went to Southwest, won that one, and then I was like, I don't find it that interesting. I'm just it's kind of like I was just throwing a ball, and I was a bit and then I went to the England one, and I think I won that, and I broke a record or something within that year group or the couple of years above. And I remember at that time, I think a load of athletics coaches come up to me at that tournament. It was me and my dad there, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to take this up full time?" And I was like, "Oh no, I play rugby most days or weekends. I'm only here really to help the school out." And they're like, "Oh, well, you've gone all right at it." And I was just like, "Yeah." Anyway, I got entered into the UK finals. It was at it was actually an indoor finals at Birmingham NEC back then. And my dad was like, "Come on, we'll go up." And I was like, "Nah, I've got no interest, Dad. I don't even want to go." And he's like, "No, go. Because if you can win, it's another thing to tick off." And I was like, "All right, I'll go." So I went up there, and obviously an athletics day is a whole day.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm stood around waiting for my event, which is at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, "Dad, why have we got here so early?" He's like, "Well, you need to support the team." I was like, "Okay." So we're watching all these running races, and then my event comes up, and me and my dad are walking over to the shot put area, and there's loads of all the other athletes are like skipping, getting warmed up by their coaches, and me and Dad look at each other and we're like, what is this? And he's like, mate, I don't know. Next minute, I just take a Mars bar out of the bag. I just start eating this Mars bar. And they're like, right, Josh Caulfield up. So I went up, and at this point, I learnt a few techniques by then, because obviously I've entered a few competitions. A few people was like, oh, just try this technique. So I tried this technique, and I went for it. And I ended up, I think I come joint first or something. And then it was that day, I was just like, I walked away from that. Obviously, UK finals, come joint first. I was like, walked out there and I was like, Dad, that's me done. I'm never doing that again. I was so bored all day.
That is the day that I'm on about.
Yeah.
Because I know there was talks, like your dad told me that there was representatives with like Team GB, like he's young enough now to start training and break through.
I can't remember too much. Obviously, it was a while ago now, but there was definitely questions about, can you come to training each night? I can't remember, with Somerset Athletics, and then can you come and do that? And I was just like, nah, I'm not doing that. I used to just love playing out on the concrete with a rugby ball, just like genuine all night. But that was one. I've completely forgot about that until you just mentioned it. But yeah, that was one sport that I took up to but didn't really enjoy.
No. So Jake, obviously you've retired from rugby, like professional rugby. Josh signs for Exeter Chiefs, 16 years old at the time.
16, I was 17, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, 17. Young, moved to Exeter. You start going to watch your brother, and you said you really struggled. But then you tried to take your life.
No, so I tried to take my life in 2022. 2021, sorry.
COVID.
Yeah. So just towards the end of COVID. It was around the October time.
What happened?
What happened? So I didn't feel great in myself. The pressure boiler was filling up, as you would, pouring the milk into the tea. Didn't stop pouring, and it was overflowing. And I remember I was on my way down. I was coaching at the time, and I was on my way down on a Saturday, and I just felt awful. I had some really bad news in the week around the situation with me and my wife that pretty much shook me quite hard. The doctor and consultant informed me, and it's quite a difficult one to take, but it's one that I hadn't shared with anybody. It's just one that I had on my shoulders. And
do you mind sharing that? You haven't got to if you don't want to.
So basically, the consultant said it'd be a miracle for me to have a kid naturally.
Okay.
So for me, that based off a previous rugby injury that happened. So it sort of shook me, and then it brought like the dark times in rugby back to light, things like that. And then I was actually on my way to rugby on a Saturday, and I was just like, I just don't want to be here. Had enough. And, you know, he didn't know it, but I was going through all of this, and Josh rang me.
It's all right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Josh rang me on the Saturday. He said, "Oh, mate, I got some amazing news." So I was like, "Oh, what's that?" He said, "Oh, me and Molly are having a little girl." So obviously I had that news.
Take your time, mate. It's really brave of you speaking about this as well, because I think it's important. Like, maybe I help you. I'll try and help you.
No, it's all right. And then instead of my response being like, "Oh, that's amazing," I just replied to him and said, "Well, I can't have a kid."
Wow. Take a minute, mate.
Do you want me to talk about the conversation? So I, obviously Jake found out, was it on the Wednesday, that he couldn't have children.
Right.
And then on the Saturday I rang Jake and basically explained, obviously being a big brother, I was all excited and stuff to tell him that.
Cool.
I was having my first child, and I rang him.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously excited about it. And as soon as I said it, I instantly knew something was up. And basically, his reply was, "Oh, I can't have a kid." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I've literally just found out on Wednesday that me and Steph can't have children." And obviously, it was a tough conversation then, because for obviously it probably put a lot of weight on him that he's just kind of pushed it away that I'm having a children. But obviously I was a bit shocked about him saying that, and like obviously the timing of it was just, I think, terrible, because obviously at that point Jake was struggling, and then obviously we mentioned back to probably Jake with the pressure of me playing rugby and sort of not having the path that Jake had. My path was kind of like that, whereas Jake's was a bit more rockier on the rugby scene.
You lived the life that he wanted to live.
Is
that fair, Jake?
Yeah.
And it was around that, obviously Jake then pulled away from rugby and was struggling, and then obviously he then settled down with Steph and wanted to have a child, and then I think obviously I was still on that path, and then me and Molly had a child. Molly is pregnant, and I think it was just like, it couldn't have been probably any worse time. And obviously now it's like we look at it and we both got children. Well, obviously we'll get onto that in a bit, but
I think for me, that was just the final marble on top of the stack that just tipped everything off. Like, I'd say ever since I was 16, I'd struggled with mental health, and I think depression more than anything. So like that final thing there on that Saturday on my way down to rugby was just the catalyst to everything to come out, you know, from rugby to you and me losing our best friend, to when he got killed, grandparents passing away and experiences of that, breakdown in relationships with my parents, loads of bits like that were fed into me, and loads of other bits that I was really struggling with. So that thing there was the final marble on the top of the stack that just let everything fall out. So obviously roll on after that weekend. Sunday, I didn't even tell Steph that Josh and Molly were having a baby or anything like that. Kept it all quiet. Roll on to the Sunday. Didn't want to get out of bed. Didn't want to drink. Didn't want to eat. Didn't want to shower. Come to Monday. Didn't want to do any of it again. And I said to Steph, I can't do it. So I just took a couple of days off, which led then to a long period off. But 2 weeks after that, I think, where I didn't speak to anybody or where I didn't seek help, only Steph knew, Josh didn't know, but actually I tried to take my own life. Tried to jump off a cliff. And again, Josh stopped me. From doing that. And straight away after that, I tried to seek help. Lucky enough, my next door neighbour, she was a counsellor for an intensive care unit counsellor for mental health. So I knocked on the door, broke down crying. She supported me. You know, I went to the doctors, got prescribed depression tablets, citalopram, that I still take now to the day. Big believer that they've helped me. But roll on another 2-3 weeks. Again, didn't tell Josh, didn't really tell Steph, my wife at the time, my wife, you know, that this was what I was going through. Kept it all closed in, didn't tell my mum and dad, didn't tell friends, didn't tell anybody. People just thought I was unwell, I had a bit of the flu or something. And then I tried to take my own life again, which was pretty tough. Having suicidal thoughts daily about how I'd do it, what I would do, was really quite tough. And I basically got signed off work for about 6 months then, where I was having 2 counselling sessions a week. I was doing regular therapy work. I was in a real bad way. And then roll on. Well, I think that happened. That was happening in the October, and I was getting married in the April the following year. And obviously at my wedding speech when I spoke about it, and again, a lot of people there, including yourself, Chris, didn't know. I only told my mum and dad after about 3 months, I think, of me actually being in that and actually trying to commit suicide. Josh didn't even know I tried to commit suicide when he stopped me. He just, lucky enough, he rang me at the exact point that I was just about to do it, and it stopped myself. And I broke down crying to you on the phone and stuff, but I didn't obviously tell him what I was just about to have done. You know, and it just went on from there. So yeah, when it got to the wedding, I was obviously in a lot better place, open to talk about it. You know, roll on the years from then until now. We've had 4 miscarriages. Lucky enough, we've gone through IVF, self-funded. Took us to roughly about £18,000 worth of debt on IVF with me and my wife, just about to give up because we couldn't afford it. And a local charity based in Weston-super-Mare, Paul Maxwell, Dan Lawton, were part of it now. The Hanger Club stepped forward and offered to pay for us to have another go. Kindly of them. So we took up that opportunity, and then, yeah, roll on 18 months and my little boy's here now. Which is great. But between him being born in April 2024 and the start of evolution developments, between April 2024 and I'd say September, October 2024, I tried to take my life again twice. Even though my son was born, I just still wasn't happy. You know, going up to Jacob's Ladder in Cheddar and again attempting to jump off, and again Josh stopping me was quite another one. And I remember one time I was on my way home from work when I was working in education, and I thought, I'm going to drive my car at 100 mile an hour straight up the back of this lorry, and if I die, I die. If I get hurt, I'm hurt. And if I survive, I survive. I don't really care what's happened. And that was going through. But I don't know what stopped me that day, but it did stop me. In fact, I went and drove to Josh's house, which is about 10 minutes away from where I was working at the time. And he wasn't there. His wife wasn't there. Nobody was there, but I literally just sat on his drive for 40 minutes, crying, everything. Got home. And when I got home, Steph was there. My mum and dad were there. And I just said to him, like, I can't do it anymore. So, you know, I said, I'm back where I am. So, oh, God. So they said, stop what you're doing. Let's get help. So I just stopped everything I was doing. I stopped, obviously, working. I got signed off. I was really unwell. Went back to the doctors, had extensive counselling and everything like that. So then, for me, then that was like another sign that I needed to do something about it. And if I can help others, I'm always about helping others. I never think of myself. I never think about what's right for me or how it's going to better me. You know, if I have to go without to give you or Josh something, I will. But I actually had to put a bit of emphasis on me about, you know, how I can look after myself. So I done that. And then, yeah, here we are, 2025, a year on, I'd say, from that. Well, yeah, probably a year on from where we were
Well, that's kind of where evolution development started, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
unless you want to explain about
evolution development started based off me and Josh always wanting to do something together based on loads of our interests, and we've got a huge interest in construction, as you can tell. That's why we're part of it. You know, all my degrees around business and management and leadership. You know, we've got employees that, you know, have got 45 years experience within the industry. We've got, you know, loads of great staff, and from, you know, a year on now to being a multi-award winning company, you know, construction and excellence in engineering. You know, we've just won custom home firm of the year with Build magazine. You know, we're so proud of where we've come in that short space of time, and we're only just getting going. And, you know, we've got a great company now that, you know, we make sure that our customers are first, and we provide excellent service. And we're not stopping. You know, we're not your normal construction company. We do things differently, but we do it well. We challenge the norm with mental health. You know, we put support in. We try and change the stigma within the construction industry. What I want people to do is look at our company and think, oh my God, the culture's great there. The ethos is great there. Everyone's equal. Whether you're the managing director or whether you're the labourer, everyone's equal. And that's what we're trying to get in. And I hope other construction people look at us and think, oh yeah, we need to maybe mirror a little bit of that. You know, so my mental health hasn't come from construction. My mental health has come from lifetime of experiences that has led me to this point. Sure. So now what I want to do is support people in construction. So, you know, building minds, evolution developments. We're not just a construction company. We are something completely different, trying to make a change.
I think it's important to kind of realise how it actually happened with the evolution development. Is obviously, like Jake's just bravely spoke about his experiences, and me and Jake have always been thinking of ideas to do a business together, and
I think I've heard about 10 different ideas.
We've tried everything. Well, not tried everything, but
had ideas.
Basically and it's something that we've always had an interest is that we want to do something that we've thought about doing a bar, a cafe, a food truck, coffee shops, barbers. Funny enough,
the bold barbers.
But like we've always, and then obviously with Jake in that time where he was struggling, he sort of come to me and was like, mate, well, obviously the obvious wasn't, we obviously all knew about it at this time, is I went to Jake and was like, you need to get out of what you're doing, mate. You need to find an interest, because not only this, he was struggling at work because it was getting harder. He didn't want to go to work. He wasn't enjoying his work. He had a very good job and very good money as an assistant head of a secondary school, which is a job for life. And I was a bit unsure whether I wanted to pull him away from that, because a job that pays, I can't remember, like good money at that period, I didn't want to be like, right, let's do something, pull him away, and then all of a sudden he's lost a job there. That's probably going to, no offence, give him a hell of a retirement package when it comes to it.
Yeah.
And he just said, mate, I can't do it. And I was like, all right, well, let's do something together. I was like, I'm a rugby player. I've had sort of a rise. Unfortunately, rugby doesn't last for ages.
Yeah.
I'm 28 now. You never know. It could be an injury. You could be done at 28. You could be done at 29. You could last till 35. But it's very rarely you push on past that.
Yeah.
And I said to Jake, well, I need something. You need to do. You need a change. So let's come up with something that we've both got an interest for. And obviously having a family involved in construction and everything in the past, we basically said, oh well, we've been in it all of our life. So, and I think there's some like good investments and projects that we can make some good money on. And it really started off as just we're set something up, and as long as it pays Jake and as long as it pays my dad to go out on the tools and we get one other bloke, that we're happy with that.
Yeah.
We're actually started off by being like, will you try and do your teaching and we'll run it alongside both our jobs?
Yeah.
And it took off quite quick, and then Jake went, right, can I come across? And I was like, oh, I'm unsure, mate. Can we pay you and dad and one other bloke? I was like, and he's like, oh, I was like, all right, let's just do it. If you're not happy, let's just do it. So Jake come across, and fair play to him, is because obviously me and Jake are 50% directors, but I'm more of a backseat director because obviously I've got the rugby and stuff. And it's admiring what Jake's done to the company, because 95% of it is probably Jake.
Yeah.
I'm just involved in the directors' meetings, and if Jake's got a problem, he'll ring me. And I think it's a testament to show where Jake's come from, and obviously from a family member watching where he was before we started this to where he is now, completely different person.
Well, if you think in 4 years, he's gone from trying to take his life multiple times to,
Yeah.
you know.
But even just the way he is in general life, like, obviously, then you obviously go into the building industry with the stresses of it and everything like that. And he does have days where he's stressed to the max.
Sure.
But I think the important thing is his bad days now are a lot better than his bad days back then.
Sure. Everyone has bad days, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone has bad days, and it's important to talk about that. Like, I have bad days at sport, and I go straight to Jake and say, "Oh, mate, wasn't feeling it today. I didn't train that great. I'm not too uptight. I haven't been selected." Like, everyone has a bad day, but I think that it's just important to show why we set up evolution developments. 1, because Jake needed a change. 2, because I need something after rugby. And 3, it was that we wanted to do something together.
Yeah.
And now obviously it's taken off a lot more than what we thought it would, which is great. And that's how when we're here now, basically.
It's important to say, like, thank you for sharing, obviously, what you shared. And Josh, obviously, it can't be easy for you now living in London, being far away. Like you said, like, although you're not so involved in the business, you still have 50% directorship of the company, and, you know, 50% of it is your money as well. So, you know, trying to support your brother running a business, knowing that the challenges he's had with his own mental health can't be easy. So, you know, I commend you for that, and long may the growth of Evolution continue, and you guys challenge the status quo with it when it comes to mental health and mental well-being. How are you feeling now, Jake? Like, current day, how do you feel?
I feel great, mate. I really do. You know, I still take my citalopram. I went up to 60 milligrams at one point.
Okay.
You know, and it has different side effects, but now I'm down to 10 milligrams.
Okay.
So a huge change there.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because I've put myself in an environment that I enjoy being in, and that I almost control and have a sense of direction and ownership of it. So the culture, the ethos, you know, that we set within our company is how we want it to be. So, you know, I get up in the mornings and I look forward to going to work. Construction is such a tough industry to work in.
Sure.
From stress, anxiety, bill paying, clients, customers, things going wrong, having to rectify it, having difficult conversations. All of that happens, but I almost do it with a smile on my face now, because you know, I don't have no fears. Like, what I've gone through is enabled me to not have any fears.
Yeah.
You know, I failed multiple times, but I'm still here today. And like I keep saying to Josh, I said, mate, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
You've always said to me,
we can't do it.
You've always said to me, you want this to be massive. You want to grow this. And I feel like this has given you a new sense of purpose.
100%.
Having Cooper is one thing, you know, but having direction professionally is completely another thing as well. And it's like, you always say to me, you want to make Evolution Development the biggest and the best, you know, which takes a lot of commitment.
I try and hold him back sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, he does. It's completely changed my drive. And Josh does hold me back a few times, because my attitude is, I'm going to go for it. And if it fails, it fails. We'll just pick ourselves up and get back on with it. You know, because I've overcome so much adversity previously that I know that I can deal with it.
Yeah.
So the stress that I deal with now and the anxiety I deal with is nothing in relation to when someone feels suicidal.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing in comparison. So for me, it all leads to it, and that's why I'm encouraging people to talk up and speak about it, because I speak about it now. Like, this now is a huge relief for me, speaking about my problems, speaking about, you know, how my day yesterday was so stressful.
Sure.
I had clients, customers, messaging at 9 o'clock at night, 6 in the morning, all of that. But for me, the only important things in my life right now are my son and my wife, my family, dad, mum, Josh, his family, Nathan, my other brother, his family. that's the important things in life. My wife's family, and if they're all right, I'm all right.
Yeah.
And if my business is doing well, I'm doing well, and that's the main thing for me at the moment. Is I want to create something that both me and Josh can provide for our children in the future. If we decide to step away, if we decide to,
and they're interested in it.
Yeah, they you know, my boy runs around with his diggers now and got a big truck, and Josh's does the same. You can already tell that they love it. Granddad pulls up in the van. They want to sit in the van. They want to hold his hammer, his drill, everything, you know. And that's almost like what me and Josh were like when we were kids growing up. That you know, because we were involved in it, we enjoyed it. And I'm not telling them if they don't want it, they don't want it. But I want us to be able to provide something that if they do want it, they can have it. Like, i.e., the business, they want to take it over, they can take it over.
Yeah.
Everything that we're doing now is for a purpose, and that purpose for us is family.
For your kids, for your grandkids.
100%.
To support everyone around you.
Yeah.
Provide better lives and better futures for everyone and better opportunities.
Absolutely.
But something that you're doing different to many other construction businesses, and it's safe to say we're not discrediting any other company, but because of the experiences that you've had, you know, and, you know, it's safe to say, and I mentioned it on the pilot, I've had anxieties and struggles that Josh has had through rugby. There is an overarching goal, as well as making loads of money and making a successful business. It's really challenging. Like, from where you are now to where you were at your wedding, when you did your speech, and before that, like I said, me and Jake spent every day together in school pretty much for the last 2 years of our school life, my school. And then after that, like, we spent so much time together. And I would consider Jake like my brother. Like, when we would go out, the three of us, everyone thought we were three brothers. I was like the older brother, you know. And the fact that I didn't know any of this, it really hurt me. Not because I felt left out, but more because my brother was hurting so much and I didn't know how to help him, you know. And the sad part was I was going through my own struggles at the time, you know. I was somebody that noticed probably 3 or 4 years prior to when Jake did that I had depression and mental health issues. But I was fortunate to have people around me at that time who helped me find, you know, a counsellor and seek me help. And, you know, I was young, like I was really young. And so, yeah, where you are now is amazing. And I remember that day in March when we sat down at your house. You told me to come round to your new house, which is beautiful. And we went round, we sat down, we sat in the front room and we brainstormed. And we come up with the idea of a podcast. And it was something that you had in your head and you thought about it. And I said to you, if you can remember, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly. We're not going to go half-hearted. We're going to be completely honest. We're going to ask those tough questions. And we're really, really going to challenge the norm. And the fact that we can sit here now, the three of us, as a collective and say we're doing that, that's a credit, you know. You've had to take time out of your days on a weekly basis to do this, not for money, not for fame, but to try and challenge the norm, you know. There is an epidemic, there is a massive problem with mental health within construction and in the UK in general, and we want to do something about that. So when you come to me and you said, these are my thoughts, blah, 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 after knowing what you've been through, I was in. I was brought in. You know how I was. I was probably too hot at the time and I'm messaging you both, we need to do it, this is it, blah, blah, blah. I was eager because I knew how much of an impact it would do. And, you know, if you seen this podcast before you tried to do what you do, it might have made you think differently. So my thing was, we need to get this out there in the public. We need to challenge the norm so people realise they're not alone. They're not struggling, you know. Introduce them to charities, foundations which help this sort of situation. Speak to government and say, guys, you need a first aid kit. So if somebody cuts your finger, you got a plaster. But if somebody's on site and you find out they tried to take their life 3 days ago, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We haven't got a toolkit for that. How can we do it?
No. And there's Chris Stats, we've spoke about him in the last episode. There's so many construction workers out there struggling with mental health. Nobody knows as well because it's not visible. And somebody who might have tried to take their life two days ago, and then they're currently stood on site with a stainless steel saw. Petrol
being told if they don't finish their job by 3 o'clock, they're not getting paid.
Yeah. And it's like putting that pressure on it's just going to lead to one thing or another.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something from the government to change it, because they're putting the added pressure on as well, building X amount of homes, following these legalities, building regulations change every week, every day, having to get X, Y, and Z before you can start, all of this, for health and safety as well, but nobody's actually thinking of the mental health is causing. And,
put it this way, if I went to a college, right, into like an open day where kids are trying to work out what they want to do, and I look at all of them and say 93% of people going into construction will suffer with mental health. Do you think anyone's going to put their hand up and go, well, I want to be a builder? They're not. So unless we do something about that, we're going to be people are going into this blind.
And we have to do something, mate, because, the generation now in construction is changing. People with vast amounts of experience are finishing they're retiring.
Yeah.
And the new industry that's coming through, which we don't have many coming through, if I'm honest, we're crying out for more construction workers. Government have said that, but they can step in, realise how difficult it is, and step back out and go and explore something else, because, that it's just so hard to talk about with that.
The thing is, you could earn an honest living being in construction. You could earn a good, honest living in construction. But the challenges around that are so big at the moment that why would you want to earn an extra 10 grand a year more when you can just go and get a middle of the road job, whether it be in a retail store or, an IT job or whatever, which might pay you a little bit less, but you're not going to have that additional stress.
Yeah. I personally think it's down to the industry itself. Obviously, I spoke to Jake about this. It's probably similar to sport, as in sense of like a sports team is like, builders are known for being that hard man. Do you know what I mean?
Man.
Go for a pint on a Friday with the lads, get up for work the next day, repeat that cycle. Like, do you know what I mean? It's sort of that. Yeah, it's sort of that industry. You go on site. It's like similar to being in a sports team. You got the banter. You got people getting into each other. You got what's this? What's that? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's probably that industry that's sort of overlooked. Obviously, sports got the recognition now, whereas building hasn't, because obviously sports a bit more global with fame, spotlights on it, whereas at the moment the building hasn't got the spotlight on it. It's sort of pushed aside, they'll be fine. Builders are fine. You can say this to a builder, he'll be fine. Mate, your work's crap. Like, can you do it, or otherwise you're not getting paid? That's fine.
I can ring you at 9 o'clock. I can ring you at 10 o'clock.
And I think that's the industry we're in at the moment in the building trade is it's just putting a bit more spotlight on it. I think once you put the spotlight on it, you'll see what's involved in it and how it works. It's just at the moment it's just pushed aside, and there's probably other industries out there that it's just pushed aside, and it's not in the limelight. So yeah, that's sort of where I feel like we're at with it, is that we need to just put a little bit more spotlight on it, and is hence why we're probably sat in this room now doing a podcast about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I know obviously we focus on construction. We want to talk about all areas. We're fortunate to have obviously Josh here. Josh is currently with Ealing.
Yeah.
Previously was with Bristol and a few other clubs. How do you find the stress and pressure of being in the spotlight, being on TV or playing professional sport?
I think it's a similar industry to the building industry. It's like it's probably just got a bit more cameras on you. So the sport industry, your mood changes every day.
Sure.
Obviously, there's some days where you're right into it, you want to train. Other days, physically, I'm tired. I can't do this. I've done something wrong in training. Now I'm thinking about that. I can't let it go. I'll move on. No, I've got to go to the gym now. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of eyes on you in the sports industry, and I think 1 minute you're up here, you're playing every week, you're I'll put it to Bristol. You're representing your local club. You play most weeks. You're in the match day 23. You're loving life, and then all of a sudden, you don't stay at that club. You move clubs.
Yeah,
and it's not only you kind of take the pressure on your shoulders yourself a little bit, and this is probably where I'd go into it. Is then all of a sudden, me and Jake set up a building company in Bristol. I'm playing for Bristol. I love it. I haven't even thought about moving. All of a sudden, it comes to contract talks because you normally sign 2-3 years, maybe 1 year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I'm living in London. Whereas if you asked me probably, well, I'd say this time last year, I'd be like, oh, I'd stay at Bristol.
Yeah.
Whereas just the sports industry is so ruthless when it comes to
You're not in control, are you?
You're not in control of where you're going to be in the future. Like I've signed a 3-year at Ealing, but for all I know, I might not be like, do you know what I mean? In 3 years' time, I might have retired. I might be at another club. I might have stayed at Ealing. It's so like you're not in control. And especially now, obviously, with sport, with the budget cuts and stuff like that, it does change a lot. And it's probably, that's where I feel like it's similar to the building industry in the sense of the pressures it adds. I obviously am I've stepped back, like I'm a bit further away from, obviously, I live in London, which is 150 miles away from my building company. Yeah. So I find that is a pressure for me. Because Jake's done a whole day at work and then I've done a whole day at work. I ring Jake and ask him every question under the sun about our building company. He's like, mate, I've been at work all day. The last thing I want to do is answer to you. And I'm a bit like, that's where I struggle with the transfer from being a sportsman and owning a company of a decent size is I've not got it in front of me every day. Like Jake, for instance, I'll say I pay the wages. But I'm like paying these wages being like, I don't even know what the lads have done this week, which I find that hard. So then I'll pepper Jake and be like, well, mate, tell me what they've done. Yeah. And he's like, well, I can't really. Like, they've been doing work, pay it. And I find it hard that you obviously take on this responsibility, paying bills, paying wages, finding staff. Like Jake rings me at the moment once a week saying, mate, I need more staff. And I'm like, what? We can't take any more staff on. And he's like, no, we need more staff. We've got too much work booked in. And I'm like, well, calm down. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, we need staff. So it's kind of the way mine and Jake's relationship work is I sort of back him of what he wants to do. And then I will try and ask as many questions I can get away with and then we'll go with it. But sort of I just find there's a big transfer from sport to this industry. And it might be why it works. And it might be why I find it hard in pressure situations. But the sport has its pressures and has its struggles, but also this industry does as well. Yeah,
like any industry, right? Yeah. But no. And I think it's important to say, like you said, you live in London now. Yeah. You travelled 150 miles to come and do this, so thank you. Nice. Don't get me wrong, Josh has an invested interest in building minds because, it's a branch of evolution, so it's for his interest as well to be here. But, I'm sure...
Yeah, I've checked in on a few sites as well before I come.
Did you?
Make sure the lads have popped in the office. Make sure the admin team are up to scratch, and then I come across to you.
Nice.
And me and Jake did go for breakfast this morning.
That's where you went. No, but I think like it must be tough for you. Like it's safe to say, like, because I know, for example, I like to be in control of everything. Even with like little things like this, I need to know I'm in control. I need to know I'm prepped. I'm ready. I need to know exactly where this camera's pointing, this camera's pointing, this camera. I need to know these things. I need to know these mics are done. I need to know the guy behind the scenes know what they're doing. It has to be that way. So the fact that you have to sign off on checks, you have to pay people wages and don't actually know the reason why you're doing that. Well, you know the reason, but you don't know what they're doing to earn their money.
That's why it's quite a nice thing that it's obviously two brothers that own the company. There's a lot of trust that comes into it. Of
course.
Like there's probably some stuff in the company Jake knows that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Which in my head is just a bit of trust in it.
Yeah.
And
it's also like that is true because I don't want to put that added pressure on him whilst he's also exploring his dream and his passion to play rugby.
Would you have started this without Jake? No. Would you have started this without Josh? And I think that's important to say.
And I think that was my hard decision when I was leaving Bristol, and obviously I signed for Ealing. Was like at that point in my career, I was 28, and I was like, well, I've got this now, and it's a good size. I probably could go into it full time. Well, I could go into it full time with Jake, and I was like, do I do that? And I kept asking him. I was like, mate, what should I do? Because I'm stuck in this path now. Like, it's like a crossroad in my career, and I'm like, I can either go and earn money in the building industry or I can go and play rugby. And to be fair to Jake, he was the reason why I took up the decision to carry on, because he was like, mate, you can do the building industry for as long, you can do it until your dad's age, which dad's 64 now. And he's like, but rugby, he's like, if you come out of rugby now, in 5 years' time when the building company's good, the one thing you'll turn around to me and go, I should have just carried on playing for a few more years because I could do this after. And it was Jake's decision, really, and it was sort of his opinion that I took on. And I was like, oh, do you know what? Now I've got his back in, I'll just carry on with rugby. Whereas if he was like, mate, I need you, like,
I remember dropping you home one night just after Christmas, and you said to me, "This is where you're at," and whatever.
Yeah, and obviously the rugby industry is nice and it pays well and stuff like that. But that was sort of my incline to carry on with rugby was Jake just going, mate, like, you go, enjoy your last 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, play it for as long as you want, because not many people in the country can say, oh, they play rugby for a living or in the world. So he basically backed me to do it, and I was like, oh, perfect. But since moving to London, it obviously has got its stresses that now I'm 150 miles away. It's a lot tougher. So a lot of it for me is I've got massive trust in Jake, and to see where he's taken this business in the short space of time. Like I said, Jake does 95% of it. Jake just tells me to pay people and sort out this, sort out that. I just normally get a list from Jake. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I think where I've seen the business go, and obviously knowing Jake as a brother, and we've gone through a lot with each other, is a sort of, right, I trust him to take this forward now. And then when I am ready, I can step back into it.
Nice.
On a full-time basis.
Nice. And you both happy with the trajectory of evolution at the moment?
Yeah, 100%.
Constantly
100%. It's constantly evolving, adapting, developing.
So this morning we met for a planning meeting, didn't we? And it's just like, you're constantly adjusting our plans, ain't we?
Yeah, I think the ideas are relentless in terms of what we want to do and how we want to explore it.
Yeah.
Within construction, but also venturing construction into other sectors as well, which we're anticipating doing in the near future.
Can you remember 6 months ago, me and you sitting down and you're like, right, there's these 4 arms of evolution. And I was like, that's really good. That's not, but like,
I was like,
do one thing first. And then, but the fact that you have that mindset and you're like, no, this is evolution at the moment, but this is where evolution is going to be.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we've got what we want to do. We've got how we're going to achieve it, and each year we adapt what we're doing to achieve that goal by the end of that year to get to our final goal. So yeah, we're happy with where it currently is. You know,
I think the partnership works well because Jake wants to keep going, whereas I'm like trying to rein him back.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember probably
good balance, right?
It was a year ago. We had one van on the road with Dad in it, and he was like, "Mate, we need to buy another van." And I was like, "Nah, not yet. Can't go too big too yet." And now how many vans are there?
We've got 7 vans, 1 truck, 1 car.
So like
15 people on the tools.
So
4 of us in the office.
Subcontractors as well.
So that's where it is now. And I remember I was trying to stop you from buying a second van.
Yeah, it's one of them. But, you know, we're happy and we're not stopping. So, you know, Evolution Developments.co.uk to take a look at us on social media, Instagram. And, you know, we're here to build your vision. So, yeah, we want to work with customers on creating their vision and bringing it to light, really. We focus on residential projects. We focus on commercial projects. We work with a large amount of property developers, converting HMOs, apartments, flats. We also do small works as well. So we work with housing association, delivering kitchens and bathrooms to housing associations and installing them. We're insurance-based specialists as well. So we work for multiple insurances within the local area, and we cover a wide remit of that, from sort of fire, accident and damage, water escape. So we've got different branches to it. So, you know, if you're out there and you need help with a project, please get in touch because we'll be more than happy to help you.
Brilliant. I think I want to wrap it up. I want to say thank you both for obviously sharing, being open and honest. But I suppose as a collective, it's a good question. I think maybe we should air this out now so everybody can hear, so they can hold us accountable. What do we want to get out of this podcast?
I think for me, all I want to do is just Actually, it's a tough one, Chris, because we could say, we're not doing this for fame, we're not doing this for money, we're not doing this for anything like that. We're doing it purely because we want to make a difference. And if we can encourage the government to make a change, or builders, companies to make a change and to encourage it to become a norm to speak up, have a conversation, I think that is what we have achieved to set out. What about you guys?
I think for me, it's obviously coming from the sport industry and the rugby, you see a lot of rugby players coming out about mental health now, and it sort of changes its awareness to the sport and its role models. I feel like it could be used in the same way within the building industry. A lot of youngsters want to be builders. A lot of youngsters going through college, but like you said, Chris, earlier, they probably don't know the stats. The stats within that industry, and it's about how we can create an awareness for them.
Yeah.
But also, like then we go into Jake's point, is how we can change that and how we can challenge it moving forward.
What about you, mate? Obviously, we wanted you to come on the journey, host of the podcast. What do you want to achieve from this?
Personally, I kind of said to you earlier, I said like the satisfaction knowing that this might change the next person's life, or this might prevent them from doing something or help them seek, that's all I want from it. So, obviously I've hosted multiple podcasts, that we spoke about this is why you got me involved. I've done this before, but there is no project that I've ever worked on which is more satisfying to me, because the bigger goal is just to help people. As you both know, I struggled with mental health and depression, suicidal thoughts, tried to take my own life, all of this stuff. And I know for the general public, and specifically for construction, there is not a podcast of people trying to challenge the status quo and trying to bring good to light, trying to speak to big CEOs of companies and saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing to change this and to challenge this? So for me, if you ask me what I want to get out of this, I want to change the stigmatism of construction mental health. And I want it to be a nice place to work. I want people to work in construction. Yeah. I want people to know that if they do have problems, they can talk. Because in any industry, everyone's going to have problems. Everyone's going to struggle with mental health, anxiety, and so on and so forth. But if there's that toolkit there, they know, okay, if they are struggling, they turn to this person, or the government has put these things in place to support mental health with construction. If we get that out of it, we've done our jobs,
Yeah, I think that's the exciting thing is, obviously not everyone has struggled to the extent that you guys might have struggled, for instance, like myself. But I think if you're out there and you're watching this and you want to kind of make that change or want to be a part of it to take it forward, then please get in contact, because with any CEO, any director, any operations director, do you know what I mean? Anyone, basically. I think if you want to come on here, any sportsman want to come on here and talk about your experiences or how you think it should be changed within the future. And I think it's important that we do put it out there to the public, as say, if you would like to come on, then please get in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
And sorry, go on, Jake. No, go on.
I was just going to say you can do that by contacting us via the email address.
Email address in the top of our Instagram. But yeah, you can message us on social medias. Obviously, comment in the YouTube as well. But yeah, like Josh, you're completely right. And I think it's important to say as well, though, seeking help, even if you're not struggling that much with anxiety or mental health, is only going to help build your toolkit to then support others around you. Like, if you knew half of the stuff you knew now when Jake first contacted you.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't have been easy, but it'd have been I'd been a lot more approachable, I reckon.
Yeah, and this is it. Like, so, like, we're all going to struggle at certain times in our life. I remember my father didn't really understand depression that much until, eventually it caught him as well. And, he struggled during COVID. So, like, everybody suffers at certain times. The severity of it may be different. Not every time it leads to suicidal thoughts, but, people struggle with anxiety, depression, mental health, whatever it is at some point. So if we can just help that and support that, we've done our bit. Guys, really, really, really pleased we've done this today. I really thank you both. I think we sign off here. We've got exciting things to come.
Please subscribe, listen, like, share, follow, everything.
But yeah, guys, appreciate it. We're going to sign this one out now. On the next episode, we're going to be joined by a member of Talk Club. So Talk Club is an organisation where men can get together and discuss their problems. The famous line is, how are you out of 10? We're going to get into that. It's a super, super hard-hitting episode. So we're really, really excited for that. But again, I'm your host, Chris, of the Building Minds podcast. Super thankful for Jake and Josh today for joining us. Until the next time, see you later.